Hi, my name is Divya, and I really thought I was a pretty good parent. I read the books, I tried to model all the right behaviors, I did all the things you're supposed to do. And then, one completely disastrous Diwali party and one little blue truck taught me I had it all wrong. Yup, those were the words. The three little words my 2.5-year-old son, Kabir, shrieked at the absolute top of his lungs. He turned what was supposed to be a happy family gathering into my own personal stage of shame. This is the story of what I now call the blue truck incident and how it completely changed everything I thought I knew about sharing.
Okay, so picture this. Our house is packed with relatives. It's loud, there's laughter, the amazing smell of food. It's just festive and wonderful. My son Kabir is in the corner, happily playing with his beloved collection of trucks, and his slightly older cousin, Rohan. He toddles over and does what kids do. He reaches for the shiny blue one. And that's when the bomb went off. Just an instant, world-ending, full-blown meltdown.
My son is screaming, clutching every single truck to his little chest. My nephew is crying. And then come the voices, the jury of aunties. I heard it all, that classic, sharing is caring. The culturally loaded, in our family, we share everything. And then the one that just felt like a knife in my heart. This boy is becoming very selfish. Oh my gosh, I could just feel my face flush. I was failing right there, publicly, at teaching one of the most basic lessons of life. That night, after everyone finally left, I just couldn't let it go. All that shame just kept swirling around, and it pushed me to find an answer to a single, really painful question. This was it. This was the question just looping in my head. Was my sweet little boy fundamentally selfish? Was I raising a person who just couldn't be generous? It felt awful to even think it. And here's the answer I found. The one that honestly felt like a 1,000-pound weight was just lifted off my chest. No, he wasn't selfish. He was just a toddler. And what I was asking him to do, it was something his brain just literally wasn't built for yet. So what I learned is that true sharing isn't some simple moral rule we just drill into their heads. It's actually a hugely complex skill. It requires a child to understand the abstract idea of ownership, to be able to predict the future, that they will get their toy back, and to manage that very real, very big feeling of anxiety when they watch someone else have their thing. These are really sophisticated brain skills a toddler just doesn't have yet. So to fix this whole problem, I realized I had to see the world through my son's eyes. And let me tell you, his world is wildly different from mine. Okay, so this right here, this is the huge disconnect. For us adults, ownership is an abstract idea, right? My car is still mine even when I'm not in it. But for a toddler, possession is ownership. If they are holding it, it is theirs. If you take it, it's gone. We can predict the future. Oh, I'll get it back in a minute. They live completely in the now. It's gone forever. And while we have impulse control, their little prefrontal cortex isn't developed enough for that. For them, impulse wins every single time. And I started to realize this isn't a behavior problem at all. It's a developmental stage. At age 2, that whole mine phase is actually a cognitive leap. It's the first time they're really understanding the concept of a self that has possessions. Then by 3 or 4, they might get the idea of sharing, but they still can't handle the intense feelings that come with it. It's not until around age 4 or 5 that the brain wiring is really in place for genuine, voluntary sharing to actually happen. This was my big aha moment. When I was forcing Kabir to hand over his truck, he wasn't learning a lesson about generosity. From his point of view, he was learning that his feelings don't matter, that adults can just take his things whenever they want, and that other kids are basically a threat to his security. Instead of teaching him how to share, I was actually teaching him to hoard his toys even more desperately next time. So I threw out the old rulebook of forced sharing. I needed a new strategy, one that worked with my son's developing brain, not against it. And I call it the generosity playbook. And here is the secret. And I promise you, it feels completely backwards at first. If you want your child to learn to share, the very first thing you have to do is make them feel completely, unshakably secure in what is theirs. Generosity can only grow from a place of security, never from a place of threat. So this led me to this new 5-step plan. First, when he yelled, "Mine," instead of fighting it, I started saying, "Yes, that is your truck. Validate it."
Second, we stopped sharing and we started turn-taking, usually with a timer. It's concrete, it's predictable. Third, we designated a few extra special toys that never ever had to be shared. This gave him a sense of control. Fourth, I started talking out loud about my own sharing. And finally, we coached both kids to ask for a turn, respecting that the owner gets to decide when they're done.
I mean, it all sounded great in theory, but the real test was going to be the next family get-together. It was time to put this whole playbook into action. So, before my cousins came over again, Kabir and I had a little pre-game huddle. We went into his room and he picked 3 of his most precious, most special toys to put away safely in his closet. We talked about how all the other toys were for turn-taking, and we even practiced with the kitchen timer so he knew exactly what that buzz meant. He was going into the situation feeling protected and prepared, not ambushed. Now, it took a few months, and it definitely wasn't perfect overnight. But then, it happened. We were at the park, and his cousin Rohan was there, and Rohan was looking at Kabir's yellow digger with those big, longing eyes. I was about to step in, to coach them, but before I could, Kabir picked up a different truck, held it out to Rohan, and said, "You can play with this one." It wasn't forced, it wasn't a trade, it was real. I seriously almost cried. And in the end, it was so simple. That meltdown at Diwali wasn't a sign that my kid was selfish, it was a cry for security. And once I finally gave him that security, the generosity I so desperately wanted to see finally had a chance to grow, all on its own. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. We all want to raise kind, generous children. But what if the path to yours doesn't start with taking away their things, but by first honoring, respecting, and protecting their fierce, wonderful, and totally normal sense of mind?